He was one of America's first environmental lawyers.
I didn't want Northern California to have happened to it what happened to Southern California.
He was stubborn about making things right.
I don't think there's been that corruption in the history of this country.
He ran against his party's incumbent president.
I wasn't going to be president, I knew that. But somebody had to make and argue the case, and that's simple.
Meet a genuine American fighter on Pete McCloskey, Leading from the Front.
I don't think you can impose democracy or any system of government through the barrel of a gun without the people resenting what you're trying to impress on them. The hypocrisy of that, as it must appear to the rest of the world. Yeah, we want democracy and we want freedom, but on our terms. I don't think what I have seen has changed my basic attitude very much on this war. I doubt that this is a war any American force can win.
Pete McCloskey was and is one of my heroes in America. I think he's a man of moral courage and integrity because he's a dissenter in exactly the way the people who founded this country were. I think McCloskey is exactly in that tradition, to do what he knows is right and to tell the truth.
Pete was an example of a true maverick. He upset the apple cart, and he was a tumultuous figure in the House of Representatives. The political system couldn't stand too many McCloskeys, but it needs a few, and he's the original.
This is Paul Newman. I'm going to tell you a story about an old friend, a true American character, who tried to make a difference by leading from the front. His name is Pete McCloskey. In the Korean War, he led more bayonet charges than any American since the Civil War, and he spent the rest of his life fighting for peace. He's a maverick Republican and a Teddy Roosevelt conservationist. He was the co-chairman of the first Earth Day. He tried to impeach the president of his own party. For 50 years as a Marine, a congressman, and a citizen activist, he fought for underdogs and unpopular causes. And he might just be the only political figure in America who has managed to offend just about everybody.
I was born on September 29, 1927, in San Bernardino, at the Loma Linda Hospital. I went through the Great Depression, but too young to really appreciate the agony that the country was going through. And we had lived, I guess, pretty well until the stock market crashed and the banks closed, and my dad lost most of his money. And by 1932, when I was 5, my father left the rural community of San Bernardino and moved to practice law in Los Angeles. When I was 9 years old, I was enough of a brat that my folks sent me to a military academy. So it was easy when I graduated from high school in 17 to enlist. I stayed in for 18 months in order to qualify for the GI Bill, got out in early 47, went to Stanford.
He and I met on the beach, like a lot of people in Southern California. And I went back up to school and thought I was going to have a grand time dating everyone else, and he had other things in mind. Got his hooks into me, and that was that.
Guy came through the university, I think, in next year, and he said, any ex-enlisted man who would like to be an officer, if you'll come back to Quantico, Virginia for 6 weeks, when you graduate, we'll commission you as second lieutenant in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. The idea of becoming an officer, and particularly a platoon leader in the United States Marine Corps, seemed like a great thing. June of 1950, I was finishing the second year of law school. Cubby was pregnant. Over the radio, the word comes, The North Koreans have just crossed the 38th parallel and are attacking Seoul. I said, wait a minute. Because a week earlier, I'd gotten a letter from the mail of the United States Marine Corps. Congratulations, you are now a commissioned second lieutenant of the Marine Corps Reserve.